and you're on mute still.
Thanks, Beth. Can we just start with whoever you know is ready to present?
Candace is.
This is, I'm just started the recording. Let me get the date on it. It's August 15th, and I think this is class 6, right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, it's recording.
Okay, Candace, I think you're on, friend.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. Tell me about what you picked and why you picked it.
All right. So I picked Greater Hope Foundation for Children. And the reason why I picked it is because just like a little bit of a personal background, my little brother, he struggled with mental illness most of my my teenage life. And so I saw how he suffered and like it affected my parents and affected us in a big way. And so that was like one of the biggest things I got from the organization, because with this organization, this is the one that they actually really, they have like a lot of resources for mental illness and with children and families. So I can see like with my mom, she was really stressed out with my brother's outbursts, and like she didn't really know who to go to or who to reach out to. We had a few resources, but once he turned 18, we really ran out of like, places to go and where to place him, or, just help in that way. So with Greater Hope Foundation for Children, it's so neat because they have like foster care, they have adoption, they have like different things like that. They actually have counseling too, supplemental counseling for the families, just to make it a healthier environment. So I just really like that. So that was like really dear to my heart.
Okay, what was the full name of the organization?
Greater Hope Foundation for Children. Yeah, it should be the first one that pops up. Oh, the second one, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And how did they score for you?
It was a 17, so that's pretty good.
Let's see. All right, so it looks like most of their contributions are coming from things other than program services. That's good. Scrolling down to the salaries.
Yeah, the salaries actually, I saw 2, but like I know before on one of the classes you did, you had said that if there's more, it might be at like the last page. So I think it was just 2.
What I look for is down here where it says total.
Oh, okay.
It says 394. And so I just kind of do the math in my head and say, are these two added together?
Added up. Yeah. It makes sense.
That seems to be about right.
Yeah.
All right. So pretty high in government grants. Is that where you lost the point?
That one. And then for the other one, it said if it was, I think it was like 2 or more for I don't know. I thought I lost the point with how much they made, but I guess it is pretty high in government grants.
So it looks like you're actually.
You know what, Steve? I think when I did the math, it came out to lower than 0.6. That's probably why I got the 3 points, but it is pretty high for like government grants by itself. That's probably why.
All right, so let's do the math again. So just grab your little calculator and go 7242 divided by 7445.
0.9. Oh, it is bigger.
Yeah, so I would give that 1 point.
That is 1 point. That's right.
We'll have to see. And again, the point isn't that they're not doing great work, but a lot of the organizations that work directly with kids are funded by the government. So it's less of a need for our
Right.
donation. But let's see. Um, everything else looks good. So, yeah, see, it's making payments to foster parents. Do you see this here? So it's acting as an arm that's
Yeah.
run by the government. So you might look to see if there's maybe an alternative one in case the board
Okay, for sure.
can't get past that that particular point. But I appreciate your passion, and I understand, you know, how important it is to you. We just want to be able to find an organization that could best use our money and someday your money. So,
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
okay. Beth, who else do we have? Anybody?
Kim.
I am ready to present, but I'm actually in the car right now with my niece. I'm actually taking care of her. Can I do it like maybe when maybe before class or the next class?
Sounds like yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Okay, let's go to either Junior or John.
All right, Junior, you're up.
I chose the organization's Children Fund. The one in San Bernardino.
Yeah, how did you find them?
I was looking online. I was looking for something that helps children out, and I was just scrolling online just for something because the one I first went, it was in Colorado, so they were helping out children, but yeah.
And what specifically do they do for children?
They just help children out. I just didn't really do my research. I'll be honest, I didn't do my research, but they said that they were just helping out vulnerable children. So you can just show love on them.
They're helping them how? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
They're just giving them opportunity to help them out, just break through cycles.
I can read that, but what does giving them opportunity mean?
Just helping them out. I mean, just showing them a new way.
How do they do that?
I said I didn't do my research. I was trying to get this done faster than I.
Okay. We'll have we talk next week, because I'd like you to understand, you know, what it is that you're wanting to give to. All right, John, you're up.
Yeah, so the full name that I have is it's called Project Life Impact here in San Bernardino. I didn't have the 990 form or the work review, so I'll get to that after this is done. So they care for men, women, and children, and usually their purpose is to restore lives of the homeless and the poor in the Inland Empire. By breaking the cycle and teaching them to be self-supporting of themselves. And they have I chose it because I really have like a heart and passion for homeless but people all in general, and the fact that they help different people in their different conditions, whether they be like abused or abandoned from their homes. And then they have a good, pretty good it's called a PATH program that you can get involved in. So they give food and like free stuff to the homeless and poor every second and fourth Friday. But yeah.
And Steve, I was real curious to hear your thoughts on their 990 form, because I took a look at this one with John.
Yeah.
And the CEO doesn't collect any salary at all. They take no government grants. They do no fundraising, yet they bring in $500,000 in revenue.
And
And
this,
so I told them, hey, let's just, and it seems like they're a newer organization. Their website's not even fully done, but they show their mission statement and everything. So I was like, well, just present it and let's see what Steve says about it. Let's get his thoughts on it.
that's what I got so far.
Yeah. So, what it looks like they're doing is they're charging some sort of nominal rent. So, in helping to teach them, how to go about being self-sufficient, they make them pay rent. Is this the one we looked at last week?
What was it?
Did we look at this last week?
No,
This similar one.
last.
So I'm going to go back a year because they changed their. You see how there's more of a split with program service revenue here. So what that means is that they've been slide down to the revenue page here. So it says earned revenues from SCH. See what it says that? It doesn't say what SCH is. Interesting. So other than finding them on through a web search, do you have any experience with this organization? Did you talk to anybody?
No, and I did try calling their. I haven't got a call.
So if you read like those paragraphs right there, they're not even complete yet. You see that?
Yeah, this is they bought a website. That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's a little fishy, but maybe we can get hold of them and understand what's going on. I mean, obviously, there's nothing that's pretty normal to be giving food away and stuff. I want to see if they. Not showing any, this section in 1G that says non-cash contributions. Normally you would expect to see that if somebody's donating food and then that food is being given away, you would expect to see the food in here. So it's a little amateur with their tax forms. And they're I'm gonna have to talk to them. Interesting though. All right, thanks for bringing this up. I think it's a good experience.
Yeah, and I told John too, like, hey, just be prepared to find another organization, worst case scenario. But I was curious about this one too. That's why I wanted him to present it. Another thing is on GuideStar, it shows like 4 or 5 years ago, they were negative $250,000 in revenue. Like by their total revenue was like negative 250K, but then it slowly went down as each year. Then it was like negative 200K. Then now this year they were like negative 130,000. Is that normal to see?
Yeah, it typically, I can look at their balance sheet real quick. That typically means they've borrowed money. Let's see if we can see what's going on. Yeah, it doesn't say in here. It'd say something in here. Yeah, very interesting.
Do you guys know how they do their food distribution?
Not too much. When I looked into it, like it is relatively new, so I couldn't find too much of what they were about. It literally had like only a paragraph. So
Okay.
yeah,
Because I noticed the address is a P.O. box, and maybe there's a building somewhere or a facility, but I didn't see anything. But I was just curious if you knew. I mean, it doesn't mean they couldn't be doing food distribution, obviously, but I was curious how they were doing that.
yeah,
And I want to highlight something, John. You know, to us, Steve likes to say a no is as good as a yes. And what we mean by that is, you know, we want to learn about an organization, and it's actually okay if we learn about an organization and say, wait a minute, they're messed up. Because that's very valuable information to you, and that's very valuable information to us. You know, think about if you didn't do this exercise and you thought they were just doing great work and you're giving them all your money, and then you find out later that they're doing something corrupt. Now, I'm not saying they are, but there's definitely some questions in here.
mm-hmm. For
So
sure.
it's much better to find answers to those questions, sooner rather than when you're trying to do it after the fact. So
No, yeah.
The couple of you that presented last week, wasn't there one that I said we needed to look into a little bit? Doesn't anyone remember me saying that? Doesn't look like I wrote in my notes, which is I can figure it out when I review the assignments as they're turned in. But I'll make a note of this one for sure. All right, Beth, do we have anybody else who's ready?
Jasmine is ready.
All right, Jasmine, you're up.
So I am presenting on Inland Empire United Way, and I hope this doesn't disqualify this, but I chose this organization because I used to work there. But they're a really great organization that is focused on serving the community, particularly low-income residents and families. They have a lot of different programs that help students in school, as well as they have a 24/7 information and referral hotline that directs people to different resources to meet their needs.
And when you worked with them, you saw that they were doing actual work. They weren't just passing money to other organizations.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why I chose the organization, because I've got to see firsthand that they really do service the community. And the score that I got was an 18. So we'll see.
Wow. All right, let's take a look. How did you come to work for them?
Well, I actually started off as a volunteer with their homeless outreach program. And then I just worked my way up through an internship. And then eventually I became staff.
And you left on good terms with them?
Yeah, I was sad to leave. But I left this year because I was called to full-time ministry. So if it weren't for that, I probably would still be working there, honestly.
Okay. And what did you get when you divided government grants by the total? What was the percentage that you got?
Which one's that one? Government grant.
Probably the third.
The third one, I got 0.59.
Yeah. Close. You squeaked by with that one. All right, so you see up here where it says grants to other organizations.
Yeah.
So a lot of the chapters of United Way, that's a really big number. So we always have to watch out for that. We don't want to make sure that all these salaries and all the fundraising is all just going to making sure that they can make those small donations to other organizations. But it does look like they are providing housing and food and that kind of thing. So that's what I like to see. So if you guys find a situation like this where they're giving more money away, the score is low on that thing, then as you scroll down here, and sorry, I know this probably hurts your eyes as you're going through this, but I should be able to find a section where they list what organizations they give to. And here they just say, see additional data, which drives me crazy because that's where you would put it. Why would you say see additional? Okay. So they're giving to Big Brothers, little grants here and there, Boys and Girls Club. So, if this ended up being, looks like they're just sort of distributing a lot of money around. And kind of what United Way does is in these, what they call federated campaigns, you give United Way and then they distribute it around. We would say, well, look, pick one of these organizations, Hope Through Housing. Well, that sounds good. Let's investigate that organization and see if they're worth giving to. And it actually is, here, it's an after school program. So if they're giving to an organization, then your dollars would be more valuable, would be better served giving directly to those organizations, because then they're not in the middle. But this particular chapter of United Way seems to be doing, good work in addition to just being this fundraising machine with some of the other chapters. So good. All right, thank you for that. I think we'll be okay with the fact that you worked there for some period. All right, Beth, anybody else we have?
Quite a few are in the middle of finishing paperwork, so unless they're bold and they want to present before they're finished, then I would say no.
I could go now.
Kim,
He's not
great.
crying.
Yeah.
Okay, my organization was oh my gosh, I forgot it. It's Oak Grove. Oh yeah, Oak Grove Center, my bad. And it's in Menifee. And I chose it because they actually do a lot. So they have a program for like autism, and then for the autistic kids, and then they have a program for just kids in general. They have like if they're like depressed, or if they have like therapy for them. And what else do they have? they have like quite a few programs. So like I just liked it because if I knew that had programs like that when I was younger, like I would have loved to do that, like therapy and stuff for like kids who've had trauma. I would have loved to do that. So it just really stood out to me for that reason.
I see an Oak Grove Institute Foundation in Marietta. Is that the place, or is it?
Yeah,
What was the?
that was it.
Mommy.
All right, and then how did they score when you did your scoring?
It was, I want to say 16, right? Because 15 is to pass. Mine was 1 up. I think it was 16.
See, one high salary. All right, so it looks like high government grants again. Is that what you noticed?
Yeah, that's what I didn't get a score, or like I didn't get a point on that one.
All right, the rest looks good. Again, when the government grants are that high, then the board kind of has to look at it pretty close. So no guarantees.
Okay.
There, but
So I should look for a backup one, right? Just in case.
yeah, it wouldn't hurt to find one that's
Okay.
not so heavily reliant on government grants.
Alrighty.
Beth, is that it?
Brenda, did you want to do yours tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine was the Orange County Rescue Mission.
Okay, and how did you come upon them?
So mine was, I was looking for spiritual guidance. That's the population I chose. So like I mentioned a few weeks ago, it was kind of hard finding something where they had things up on GuideStar that I can find. I know that they did have a Corona Norco one that they did shut down. So I went ahead and looked at this one, which is Orange County, which is not too far from me. What I really liked about it is just everything they do. They help in so many different areas where you can volunteer in different areas, like food pantry, life skills, whatever it is, but all centered on bringing everything back to God. And then, so their mission statement, let me pull it up. It says, our mission is to minister the love of Jesus Christ, the least, the last, and the lost of our community through the provision of assistance. And it lists like the different areas. So they're basically trying to make everybody like self-sufficient and ready to go back into the community through different organizations or different programs they have.
Okay, and how did they score when you did the?
I got 8.
Full score. Mm-hmm. They've got some salaries that are just under the radar, it looks like. Okay. And the last score, which is the fundraising score,
Yes.
what was the division you did there?
3,274,513, and I divided that by 18,963,195.
And what did you get when you did that?
0.017.
I think you're off by a 0 there.
Okay, so it's 0.17.
0.17. So then if you lose your perfect score there.
Okay. 7.
Make sure you correct that.
Okay. Thank you. It puts it at 16. Okay, so at this point, I would have to look for another one, correct? Another organization.
No, I don't think that's a deal breaker. I just want you to be aware of the, of the score. I think the scorecard says, if it's a 17 or an 18, you're good. If it's a 16, you're probably okay. It kind of depends on where it is. So yeah, it's interesting because a 16 coming from government grants historically has been worse than a 16 coming from a couple of points high on the fundraising.
Okay.
So there's some risk there, but not good. All right. So today we want to.
Hey Steve, I'm willing to share.
That'd be great. How's Japan?
Great. No complaints. It rains a lot out here. That's for sure.
All right. What was the organization that you picked?
It's Habitat to Humanity. It's based in Riverside. So the whole thing is they develop and build houses for low-income seniors and veterans, and also like prevent. I don't know. It's Habitat to Humanity Riverside Inc. is the whole name. I think that might help.
Is it 4 or 2?
2. Habitat to Humanity Riverside Inc. is the full name.
Well, maybe you found it there.
Yeah. So they build / prevent low income seniors from losing their house and veterans from losing the house or putting them into like a home. Their mission statement was I liked their mission statement when I was reading it. It says, no matter who we are or where we come from, we all deserve to have a decent life. We deserve to feel strength and stability day after day. We deserve to know we have the power to take care of ourselves and build our own futures. And it's just like being in a home, is a human right type of thing. And one other thing I found like nice about it was they have like a senior training for like people that's just like mostly it's for women that are now alone in their homes and how to take care of like a house and pretty much like a training class to like be the head of your house or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
they lost their husband or something.
Yeah. And it scored at 18.
Yeah, I know in years past the board has shied away from these sort of national organizations, but since you found a local chapter and they've got a local tax return, I think we're going to be okay. But if it was, the giant Habitat for Humanity, that's sometimes tougher. tougher. So. Okay, looks good. Thank you, Nambi.
All right, thank you.
Oh, and one other one is Luzella. I don't know if you wanted to take one more, if you wanted to jump into your module.
No, I'll take them home.
Okay.
Hi. My organization is called Safe Family Justice Center.
Safe what Justice Center?
Family Justice Center.
Family. All right. Tell me what they do and why you picked them.
So it is it's a organization that helps the. I have a question. Can you turn that down? Thank you. Okay. He was doing feedback with his phone. But it helps people who have been abused. So either like sex trafficking victims, sexual abuse victims, domestic abuse victims, and it helps with like just children, youth, and like just family situations. I chose it because I feel like everyone has somebody who has been like through something, either like sexual assault or domestic abuse themselves. Like I have stories of family members and friends myself, so I'm really a big supporter in helping whenever like you can.
And how'd you find this particular organization?
Well, I was Googling, like, I wanted to help an organization in mind of like helping women, children, families. So I was just Googling different organizations, and I found this one in Temecula that was actually quite close to me. And as I was reading the mission statements and I went through their website, they were having stories of like the ways they helped them, and like they even do like counseling. Like they did a lot for like people, you know. So it really like piqued my interest into them, you know.
So you hadn't heard of them before, but you did a web search and found it, and then liked what you saw.
Yes, I did look at a lot of organizations, and this one really stood out to me.
And how did they score on your scorecard?
I had 17 points.
Okay. And where did they lose a point?
In the management and overhead.
Yeah, and what did you do? You divided 98 by 538?
Yes, and I got 0.18.
All right, and then what do you need to get, what was the range have to be to get the 2 points?
It says, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It says like 1 to like 0.15.
Yeah, so if it's under 0.15, then you get the 2 points. But if it's over 0.15, then you only get the 1 point. See that?
Oh, okay, I see it. Sorry.
It's okay. It's a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, when you're dealing with smaller numbers like this, you know, they can get they can get pretty high. So I don't think you're going to lose the grant for it, but I just want to make sure that you can see that the management's a little high, and it's higher than just a point deduction. It's a 2 point.
Mm-hmm.
Good, though. I like learning about new organizations. It looks like a good one. All right. Anybody else? Going once. All right. So
I do want to say something about mine.
okay.
So mine is Blue Green Alliances.
Ooh, where'd that name come from?
I'm not 100% sure from that name, but I do know what they do, and I'm gonna be working with them for next week. I'm going to Arizona for meeting the mayor and a couple other important people for actually building new schools and funding them as well.
Are they out of Arizona?
They're in Arizona. That there no, we're gonna meet there. I'm gonna be one of the photographers there, and my friend is working with them, and he was telling me about it, and ended up wanting to do work, research about them,
Okay.
and
I'm not
so they have.
finding. I'm not finding it. What's the official name of the group?
It's or for when he sent me, it's Blue Green No Space Alliance, and I saw it and I think it's called. It has gold next to it. It says gold.
Blue green, is that the name? The color
Yeah,
blue and then the color green?
yeah, Blue Green Alliance. So I think it's the first one.
Blue green investments?
No, it's not that one. I just researched them right a couple 30 minutes ago. Blue Green Alliance, and it has a logo with a blue on top and a green on the bottom.
All right, let's see if we can find. All right, so the only problem is this little sentence in here. Can you see that? Where we're working? Donations to Blue Green Alliance are not tax deductible as charitable contributions.
Yeah.
So they're not a real 501c3.
Oh, okay.
Which means let's see if I can find this thing here. Well, I see it in Minneapolis. Maybe that's not. Maybe that's the problem. All right. Well, when you turn in your paperwork, or just make sure you turn in a copy of the of what you found.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to make sure it's a real organization. And oh, there's no space. Let me try it without a space here, real quick.
Yeah, it's no space.
There
That's the
we
one.
go. So do you know what their mission is? Because it looks a little environmental, and just trying to figure out what they do.
I'm sorry, I could barely hear you.
Well, remember when we said, we don't want to work. We want to make sure we're helping people in need. So I just want to make sure that this isn't overly environmental. Like they're giving to the Sierra Club, National Wildlife Federation. We just want to make sure they're not more concerned about the environment than they are about people. that make sense to you?
Yes.
So, we've talked about a 501c3, which is a charitable organization. This is a 501c4, which is more political than charitable. So it's like they're trying to work with labor unions and environmental groups. This one's going to be a struggle, I'm afraid, with the board. It'd be interesting when you said you're going to go work with them. It would be interesting to find out what you discover. What is it that they're really doing to help people?
Yeah.
So that's worth. You may have to sell the board on that. So Blue Green works to educate the media and the public. So if they're just about trying to convince people to do things, then they're what we call a lobbyist. They spend all their money trying to convince people to change their mind about something. So that's what we need to watch out for.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want me to just have a plan B already?
Well, you said you're going to go work with them, right?
Yeah, they needed a photographer, and then a friend referenced me, and so they're gonna fly me there or drive me there to Arizona to meet with the company and the mayor. Certain other people are gonna be there.
Okay. So put your investigative reporter hat on while you're doing your photography, and just with the attitude of saying, "Hey, I just want to understand what you guys do. How do you help people?" And see if you can see if they're really mostly about, trying to promote unions and convince people of things. There's a need for organizations like this, but we're just trying to make sure it's an actual charity that's doing charitable stuff. Does that make sense? So,
yes.
You're going this week? Will you be back by Sunday?
Yeah, I'll be back Sunday.
Okay. So, why don't you?
I'm gonna be there for 2 days.
Yeah. So when you come back and you come back to class, share with the group what you learned about the organization. Thinking about it from the Giving University perspective.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, sounds good. So you just don't want me to see about if this wouldn't be a pass then? You want me to have a plan B of another one?
Well, I first of all just want. I'm less worried about the plan B. I'm more worried about whether you are convinced that this is a real charity, because they're marketing themselves as a 4-star charity, but they're also saying that it's not a real nonprofit. So I'm just curious as to, if you can find out what you learned about them.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. So in the time that we have left, I want to talk a little bit about what we can do with our personal finances to be better prepared to give of our own money and not just convince other people to give of their money. And so, a little quiz question here. Let's see. Junior, The phrase that starts a penny saved, how does that end?
I don't know.
You never heard a penny saved is something?
Penny. No.
No?
I haven't.
Okay. Somebody help him out.
Is it like a penny saved? I'm probably gonna butcher it, but is a penny saved a dollar gain?
No.
Something gain?
No. Benjamin Franklin is rolling over in his grave right now. So the famous phrase is a penny saved is a penny earned. And so at least when I was growing up, people would say that, but I don't think people actually understood what it meant. So what would it mean by saying a penny saved is a penny earned? Anybody want to try to take a crack at it, interpreting what that means? How can saving a penny be just as good as earning a penny?
It's a penny you didn't have before.
Yeah, so if I'm earning a penny or $1 or $10, and I didn't have that $10, then I have that $10. But if I already have the $10 and I don't spend it, what do I have?
$10.
I have the $10. So not spending the penny or the $10 is as good as going out and earning it, assuming you had it in the first place, right? So that's what good old Benjamin Franklin meant by a penny saved is a penny earned, which is like, hey, you don't have to spend every penny you have just so that you can get up the next day and earn more. You know, if you save some, that's a lot less work than going out and having to work for more. So not spending it is just as good as earning it and spending it. Or earning it and not spending it. You want to have the $10 when you're done. And you go with inflation. So maybe 40 years ago, a finance guy came up and said, well, actually, a penny saved is more like 2 pennies earned. So how could not saving $10 be as good as earning $20? Well, think about your paycheck. Okay? If you make, $100 in a week, do you see $100 on your paycheck? No, what happens to it?
Taxes.
Taxes get taken out. So, and the more you make, the more taxes they take out. So for some people, it's, they're 3% Medicare and they're 7% Social Security and they're 6% state and they're 30% federal. All that stuff adds up. And if you go out and spend money, you pay taxes when you spend too, right? There's another 8% or so in sales tax. So half of your earnings are going to various taxes. So if you want to end up with $10, if you had $10, you just keep it. And then you have $10. If you don't have the $10, you have to go out and earn $20 just so that you can have $10. So every time you go off and spend something, if you think about it as costing you double, because in order to make up for that money that you're spending, you're going to have to earn twice as much because the government's going to take away half. All right, now we're going to go even beyond that. The penny saved is 3 pennies earned. So if a bunch of money is going away to paying taxes, what else could money be going away to pay that you don't get to spend? Anyone?
Maybe bills or debt.
Yeah, mostly in this case, we're talking about debt. So if you put money on your credit card and you don't pay off your credit card every month, then what is happening to some of that money?
You're paying interest on it.
You're paying interest on. And sometimes it's really, really high interest. So if you're putting on the credit card, let's say you're not putting on the credit card, but you still have a car loan
And they filed suit.
or a student loan. So if you go off and spend money and use that money to buy something you don't really need, when you could have used that to pay down some of your loans, then you are spending money in interest that you don't have to. So if you go to Starbucks and spend $4 on a cup of coffee, you're really having to go out and earn $12 in order to pay for that cup of coffee, because a bunch of it's going to go to the government in taxes, and a bunch of it's going to go to the credit card company or your lender to pay interest. So that's where we get that from. All right, so let's kind of talk a little bit about how we grow up thinking about money. And so I call these the stages of financial maturity. So the first stage that we start with typically is, hey, if there's money in my checking account, I must be able to afford it. And so if we go to Best Buy or go on Amazon and, you know, there's the latest phone or the latest gadget, well, all we do is think about, well, is there money available? And if there is, then I can afford it. And that's sort of the most naive perspective on personal finances, right? But then it gets worse when you get your first credit card, because you're spending money that you don't even have, and you keep spending it and spending it until you run up into your credit limit, and then you hope to get another credit card, and you start spending against that. So if you don't focus on your finances, what's likely to happen?
You take over, you go in debt even more.
Yeah. The less you think about it, the worse you're going to get. In most cases, our natural tendency is to spend money. So in order to combat that, we want to start thinking about finances. And the first way we think about it, obviously, was the exercise we just did, which is, hey, a bunch of your money's going to taxes, a bunch of money's going to interest. So you're spending half your day earning enough, and then you're going off and spending it on things you don't need. You're never going to get ahead. Things are never going to get better. They're just going to get worse. The other thing is to start thinking about what we call cash flow. The cash flow is an accounting term. You may have heard a term called budgeting, which may scare you, but it really has to do with getting some sense of how much money is going to come in this month and how much money is going to go out this month. And what's my goal? My goal is that the money coming in the month is bigger than the money that's going out in the month. And if it's not, I only have two ways of fixing that. One way is I got to earn more money. I got to start delivering pizzas or driving Uber or something. And the other is I need to spend less. So that's starting to think about cash flow. So have you guys ever done an exercise on credit card, have you ever looked at sort of this minimum payment thing? Let's kind of do an exercise. So let's say you owe $10,000 on credit cards and you have to pay 24% interest. They'll never call it 24% interest. They'll just call it 2% interest per month. But that's really 24% interest. And let's say that they tell you you have to make a 3% minimum payment. Or they don't tell you, they just tell you what your minimum payment is. And you just pay it without thinking about it. So, any math wizards in here? If I have a $10,000 balance on my credit card and I have a 3% minimum payment, what's my payment going to be?
Is it 30?
You're off by a decimal place.
300.
$300. And then how much am I going to pay in interest in that same month? Excuse me. Well, that's the 2% of the 10,000. That's 200. So if I'm paying 300 as a minimum payment and 200 of that's going to pay interest, then only 100 of that is going to pay down the credit card. All right, so here's your quiz question. If you only make the minimum payment, how long do you think it would take to pay off that credit card? Anybody have a guess?
You're probably not gonna pay it off.
Well, eventually you would, but not if you keep spending. All right, so there's these websites that allow you to figure this out. We've already talked about the minimum monthly payment is $300, $200 is going to interest. But there's a website, for example, called creditcards.com, which can kind of walk you through this, that you can put in your own situation in there. But if I put in, hey, here's $10,000 that I owe at 24% interest, and I have to make a 3% minimum payment, how long is it going to take me to pay it off? The answer is 303 months. Now, why is that? Part of the reason is that the minimum payment goes down each month. So if you're not paying attention to it, you're paying a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. And it's just going to keep going and going and going. So that's if you cut up the credit card, you only made the minimum payment, you'll be making payments for 25 years. That's pretty rough stuff. But let's just say we make a small change. Okay. So let's say we said, okay, my minimum payment today is $300. I'm going to pay $300 every month, no matter what it says the minimum payment's going to be. How much do you think that reduces the 25 years down to? Goes from 25 years to 56 months. 5 years. Just by saying, look, I'm going to pay $300 a month until this thing gets paid off. Crazy different. Okay? So if you learn nothing else from tonight, ignore that minimum payment on your credit card and at least double it. Or you'll have no hope of paying down your credit card. Don't just assume, well, hey, someday I'll make more money and then I'll pay them. Really bad idea. If I beef up the payment to $500 a month, so I give up $7 a day, no Starbucks until it's paid off, whatever I decide to give up, I can pay that thing off in 2 years. So, but what if I don't change my spending habits? I'm only looking at, hey, is there credit left on my credit card? I got into this mess by spending more than I make. If I spend $100 more than I make and put it on the credit card, I'm not going to ever pay off this card. It's just going to stay at the max the whole time. All right. So a couple hints on getting out of debt. One is pick one debt and try to get it paid off. And then go to the next one. Don't try to make little extra payments on everything. There's a psychological win to having something paid off. So even if you take your smallest debt and get that paid off, that's a good psychological win. And then you take whatever money you were using to pay off that smallest one, and you add that to the next smallest one. It's called a debt snowball. And really, really works. So pick one and make an effort. And if you do that, you'll free up money eventually to the point where you can give more. That's really what we're hoping. You'll get to the point where you're doing that. A couple of fun proverbs to keep you on your toes. Whoever loves pleasure will become poor. Whoever loves wine and olive oil will never be rich. I don't know why it's wine and olive oil, but I think those are pretty expensive things back then. Today we'd say whoever loves iPhones and earbuds, will never be rich. The plans of the diligent lead surely to the abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. All right. So why is America in so much debt? Partially because we watch too much television. And what do we get bombarded with on the television? Advertisement, right? Tell us how much we really, really need to have something that we don't really need to have. So we get this desire to want things. And that's what we call materialism. So the solution to that is to not say, hey, I'll just buy things until I don't want anything, because that never works. The solution is to, hey, look, I admit I want this and I'm just not going to buy it.
Steve,
that's how you win. Yeah.
You know what debt stands for?
No.
Don't ever buy things. Just kidding.
Good. I like it. Yeah, I mean, you have to learn how to buy things that you can afford. So how many people do you know that are wealthy and yet are unhappy? See that in the news every day. Money does not give you happiness. In fact, it's the love of money. That's what?
Is the root of all evil.
Is the root of all sorts of evil. Yep. Yeah. So, is money a root of all kinds of evil?
No, the love of money is.
Love of money, good. We don't take things out of context. So let's look at this for a moment. And let's see if we can identify all the things that are mentioned about people who want to get rich. What's the first thing that we learn about people who want to get rich? Right there in the first sentence.
They fall into temptation
Fall into temptation. What's the second thing?
and trap themselves into many foolish and harmful desires.
Good. What's the third thing?
Ruin and destruction.
Yeah, they get plunged into ruin and destruction. Sounds like lots of fun so far, huh? Now it says, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And then we get more to the list. Some people eager for money end up doing what?
They wander from faith and pierce themselves with many griefs.
They wander from the faith. So that is a serious, serious consequence for people that are in love with money. So 1, they fall into temptation. 2, they fall into a trap. 3, they end up in foolish and harmful desires. 4, they get plunged into ruin and destruction. 5, they wander from the faith. 6, they pierce themselves with many griefs. Does that make you want to continue to love money? I hope not. Okay. All right. My voice is getting to the point where it's actually painful, so I'm going to call it for tonight. So next week we will get the last of the presentations. We may finish next week, and no guarantees. We'll just have to see how we go through the through all the material. But come eager to learn, eager to participate, and we'll try to get through it all next week. So.
Hey, Steve, can I make a final comment?
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Most of you are friends of Alexis. She got a case of COVID. Alexis has been helping us kind of organize this a little bit. So if you didn't know that, I think she's not horribly sick, but anyway, she's got some COVID going. So it's out there and we all know it. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Oh, one other thing, Steve. Some of you guys will end up going on trips. Hopefully all of you will go on trips. If you don't have a passport, it's really long now to get passports. You might want to start taking a look at that so you can kind of get the process going. So we'll probably talk about trips maybe next week or the week after. But anyway, the passports take forever.
Good point, Dan. Thanks. All right, everyone. Thanks for participating today, and thanks for helping me learn about organizations that I hadn't heard of. And we will see you next week.